What's up, everyone? This is Matt Abrams. I want to share a story about why I stayed at Medtronic for 10 years. I just hit my service anniversary of 10 years, which is absolutely crazy. And I want you to stick around to hear some things I learned over the 10 years. And it's funny because when I look at my life, I always looked at big changes to me as a person happening in years of 4, right? High school was 4 years, college was 4 years. And looking back, I noticed huge changes. And now that I'm out of college and working, I think every 3 to 5 years I do experience a massive change. And I stayed 10 years at Medtronic, which is unheard of. One, I feel extremely old, and it's really weird to say that I've been somewhere for 10 years or quantified 10 years in time, because that's something we don't really do. We don't think in decades. So that is really weird. But it's been one of the best experiences staying with one company. A lot of my buddies went to medical school, and you're on a track. You change every 4 years with your program and residencies. And a lot of my buddies went into consulting or tech. And, I was surprised every year, even 6 months, I would see them change roles. They were able to move up fast. They were able to get promotions, more salary, equity. And I always wondered, am I making the right choice staying at the same company for 10 years? And looking back, I think there's an opportunity cost. There's an opportunity cost for me to leave and strike it rich somewhere else, to grow my career. And there's also an opportunity cost or opportunity benefit to stay with the company. And I want to talk about some of the reasons why I decided to stay and why it's been good for me, right? So the last 10 years at Medtronic, I felt like I was constantly growing. I was challenged to learn and grow in my character and my knowledge and my technical knowledge in the cardiac space. And if you look at the roles I've been in, which are implantable devices, it takes about a year to 18 months to 2 years to be really effective in your role. A lot of times when these hiring managers hire, in my interview, they say, hey, listen, we want you here for 3 years. First year, you're going to get trained. Second year, you could kind of get by. And third year, you're finally adding value. And we want to be on the same page. If this role or 3 years is something you can't commit to, then look elsewhere. There's other great jobs. So knowing that, I've been constantly learning. The first 4.5 years I spent in pacing, and I was constantly getting promoted and growing in the roles. I was able to challenge myself and learn the clinical side, being in the patient clinics, working with the doctors to check the patient's devices, and learning not only about our pacemakers, but about cardiology, about pharmacology, and all these different aspects of cardiology. Within the first 12 months, I was able to get trained to support pacemaker surgery, and I have an awesome video, but for that, we're in the cath lab for every single pacemaker case, and that's a whole new ballgame, right? I'm learning how to troubleshoot and provide support to physicians as they implant 2 wires inside of the heart and the pacemaker. And you got to be good, right? Because the doctors are looking at you, and there's a patient on the table that depends on the physician team he brought in. Quickly after 4.5 years, or actually during that time, I was able to get my MBA. I went after hours to get a master's, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I went to get another job. I'd be too concerned with running and ramping and getting up and going. But Medtronic and other big companies offered a stipend for you to go back and get education. So I thought this was a great idea, super good idea, to use some of the financial support and aid from Medtronic to get a graduate degree. And that didn't really help me in my specific clinical roles, but I know long term that's going to help me break into leadership or marketing, or give me a little bit more options of having that business acumen. 5 years comes around, and that's a really long time to be at Medtronic, but I saw a new division. I wanted to join TAVR. It was fast growth, a small, nimble unit that I wanted to join. And I hopped over as a clinical, and the same thing, it took 1 to 2 years to get good. I'm still learning. And that's what's really awesome about my 10 years at Medtronic, is that I have grown so much in my EQ, but also my clinical cardiology and my med device sales role rep, right? So it's not like I have stagnated. And in the last 3 years, I moved into sales, which is a whole new ballgame for TAVR, and really developed in leadership and sales acumen. But looking every year, I've been growing, learning, and I didn't feel compelled to leave, right? A really good sales leader told me, he looks at his career at the end of each year, and if financially it's good, it's fulfilling, and the people are good, you're in a good spot. He said if you have 2 of those, 2 of the 3, money, people, and fulfillment, you're fine. Don't leave. And I've been having all that, right? I work for a great team, great company, so people is good. The money and compensation it is good. I'm really happy with what I make. I probably could go make more elsewhere, but I would lose a lot of the opportunity here. And then lastly, fulfillment. I love the product I represent. I love my growth. I love the learning. And key is my career growth has been met at Medtronic. And it's just crazy. I mean, really, it's crazy to think I've been here for 10 years, but I've grown so much. And that's one of the main reasons, as I've been young in my career, is not to leave the company. I think, maybe there were some opportunities that could have accelerated my career a little bit faster, but first 5 to 10 years, it hasn't been about changing roles for the money. It's always been about my career and growth and opportunity to grow as a leader, because I look 15, 20 years where I want to be, and I want to be at the top of a company. I hope I have the opportunity to make an impact for patients in the company and the people that will serve that company. So I didn't want to make short-term decisions like $20,000, $100,000 more for a job that might not be guaranteed, to prioritize the long term. There's a lot of things during this time that I learned, right? A lot of clinical cardiology, a lot of things outside of that. So 10 years. I wrote down a list. I mean, it's a lot to take in. It's emotional to be somewhere for 10 years. I've had amazing managers. My current manager I've had for 5 years. That's a testament to her and the Medtronic organization and leadership. Previously, I had amazing managers, but managers every 6 to 12 months because we were realigned, meaning our territory shifted. And I'm thinking back to some of the best moments I had over the 10 years, and I think honestly it's really about the people I was with, right? Some of the best times I had was with training. 10 years ago when I joined Pacing, we went to Minneapolis headquarters, and you're in the classroom. It's like college. You're learning all this material about pacing, and you're stressed. But then, you have a company card, so you're allowed to go eat out. So all of us are going out to these really awesome restaurants. It's $50, $75, nothing crazy. On the weekends, we were going to see concerts. We were going on the lakes to paddleboard, and then Sunday night we're staying up studying. We all wanted to do well, and we did on the test. So that was one of my favorite moments, and I still have a lot of love for those people. I don't talk to them as often because some of them are actually still with Medtronic. And then TAVR, big training 5 years ago. Some of those guys, I still in TAVR, getting our ass kicked and having fun and advocating for patients. But we had some amazing memories going out at night, these really awesome pool halls, and same thing, Prince is out there. We're just, studying and stressed about that, but also just having fun. And when you get to these trainings, you don't know anyone, right? I was lucky to go with a colleague from California that I knew well, but it's usually 20 to 30 people in these training classes. You don't know anyone. You have those type A sales personalities, and people talking, people quiet, and at the end you guys just feel so bonded because you went through this 1 week or 2 week intensive training, and all the shenanigans. We were there during football season too, so it was fun to go out to the Vikings games. And back in like my own territory, some of the best days have been just meeting the reps or going out with some of the cath lab staff and golfing and dicking around on the golf course, having a couple of drinks. And for me, that's not work. That's, it's after hours. We're just there to have fun and be people, right? We're just people working and trying to get by on this earth. And one special moment too was I was switching jobs, and I felt bad because I didn't really communicate to my sales rep, who was a huge mentor and coach and my boss. And for 4 years, I took every order, and we did really well. But I was concerned that if he knew I was trying to transfer divisions, our manager, Medtronic, would block it. So I was super quiet about it. And he found out, and I was moving over. It was kind of hard because we've grown close over 4 years. But he knew what I wanted in my career and supported that. But the last week before I left, he's like, dude, you're up in Santa Barbara. We got a clear schedule. Clinic canceled. Let's go hop in the ocean. So him and I, put our bathing suits on and went to the beach. We're body surfing. And that was a really special moment. And, going in high school or college or different things, people say the world's small. It is so small. The med device space, the reps you meet, you're going to see year over year. They might work for you. You might go work for them. The cath lab techs and nurses you see at one hospital in 3 years or at another hospital, or someone you really like was there and then they move over as a senior leader at another hospital. Like it's just so small, right? And the relationships are the most important. And a lot of people are moving away from those personal relationships. But the relationships you have with your teammates, your internal colleagues and headquarters, your support at the hospital and their physicians makes this job the most fulfilling. There's also a couple clinical days that I remember very vividly that were just amazing. Really sick patients or really difficult anatomies where we sat down and reviewed and made a plan on how to best serve this patient. And we went in there with this game plan and had an excellent procedure to help this patient. And that was really, really gratifying. Another example is, sales is not all wins. You got to celebrate the wins, but you keep the wins and the highs a little tempered and the lows not too low so you don't beat yourself up. But I've been calling on a doctor for, like 4 years. And he really wanted to use our product, but it was hard to get him to commit, and partly because he didn't have privileges, meaning he couldn't do the procedure because he kept getting blocked. And finally, we found a way for him to get privileges. He got credentialed, and we did a case, and that was so awesome because the case went extremely well. And it was like 4 years in the making. Like I can remember going into his office, talking to him, doing a training, educating his staff, and that was a really special feeling. And just a couple things. I don't know if you're looking for advice or wisdom, but I don't think there's a couple things. You got to take ownership of your career, and I hate doing this, and I don't really do it, and I should do it better. In your annual performance reviews or in a journal, you got to write down what you're doing each week to win. So you remember it, right? So write down that you had a great case with a doctor. Write down the education you did. Write down how you went to a clinic to meet with a referral to grow that business, right? There's so many things that you can do to educate and show your manager and senior leadership how you're advancing your career, right? That's like one of my biggest takeaways is, I don't look at it as like bragging for yourself, but learn to advocate for yourself and take on the different career opportunities to advance. Next is a lot of sales reps or clinicals are these type A personalities where they'll do anything and they don't ask for help. And burning out or being everywhere at once is not like a badge of honor. You got to learn how to delegate and work as a team. And it takes a while because you come in and you want to do everything yourself and you can only get so far. And when you learn to work as a team, it's a lot better. I think I lost my mic, so that's a little frustrating, but we'll finish. So advocate for yourself is always important. Don't burn out, learn to delegate, ask for help, or don't take on so much. I remember in pacing, you're up all day, you're driving home, you get paged at 5:30 to go 45 minutes to check a device, learning how to talk to the nurse or team and assessing how urgent it is and see if it's capable to do it tomorrow, saved me a ton. So last thing is, or two things, is, the 10 years I learned that career progression isn't linear. You take what's best for you at the time and you keep just learning and growing, and that's the biggest thing. I've talked to people that really design their career with, wanting to get internal career experience, finance, to pivot here. I took whatever opportunity to challenge and help me grow, which has been amazing. And then I talked a little bit about advocating for yourself, but the big thing is, no one's going to hand you a sales role or a leadership role or this or that. You have to take ownership and you have to set for that path. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make the change. You're going to do extremely well. Challenge yourself and grow. And circles back to advocating for yourself. Work with your manager for getting to the next level. Identify ways that you could go from a clinical to sales to leadership, sales to internal. There's a lot of programs, internal HR programs to help you develop those skill sets, but you need to take ownership and communicate to your leadership that you want that. In 3 years, if it's a surprise that you wanted a career move, then that's on you, right? Communicate early and let your career unfold. So this is me wrapping up 10 years at Medtronic. Super excited for what's next. I hope you guys have this opportunity too. Bye.